I've gone through 32 different jobs and businesses in my life, and I believe that every single one of you are built for greatness. But what is greatness? Our bosses don't really tell us what our strengths are. Every one of us can be a king or queen of your mountain. Welcome everybody. I've gone through 32 different jobs and businesses in my life. 32. I've been a street busker on Orchard Road. I've been an insurance agent where I got MDRT. I've been a logo designer, I've won awards. I've done MLM. I've done a lot of different things, 32 different things. And one thing I realized after so many different things is that there was one key difference in the areas where I was able to excel compared to the areas I wasn't able to excel. So I've been coaching many different people, and I'm a performance coach. I coach people in career, but most of my time is coaching MNC leaders, directors, GM, MDs, and C-level to help them improve the performance of their team. So the question is, what should you consider when chasing your dream career? Most of us will choose pay, or we'll choose things like, opportunity. Let me share with you a very simple framework where I use when I coach people in career. First thing, we talk about pay. Most of us, we talk about pay, we want to be able to earn more. Then there's performance. Performance is, where do you get the highest level of performance? Where do you get this thing called world-class performance? Because as a peak performance coach, one of the things that's most important is that you won't get that pay and promotion if you don't get that performance. So of all the things that you do, which are the areas where at your job you're able to get the peak performance? Lastly, we talk about passion. Passion is something that is extremely vague. So I'm going to try to break it down a little bit more scientifically so you understand what passion is. So you can see that there are three intersections. I'm going to talk about the first intersection. If I have a lot of performance, I'm good at my job, and I get a lot of pay, FML. So that's an area where it's like, I've coached many different directors where they close their eyes, they can do their job, but they just want to quit. So that might not be where we want to go. The second part, where you get performance and passion, but you got no pay. What do you call that? Hobby. So if you bake a cake 5 times and you like, some of your friends like it, some of your friends don't like it, that's a hobby. You have no performance whatsoever. And lastly, if you have passion, where things that you enjoy and all that, and you have a lot of pay, what do you call that? Luck. Very, very rare, unless you got a viral video coming out of nowhere like the Chewbacca lady and all that, you're not going to get anywhere. So when we try to be able to intersect these three, and these three are always on our minds, what is the most important is that the intersection between all three is this thing called calling. So how on earth do we find that? Most of us, we want to be able to get a lot of pay, highest level of pay. But we think about it, how do we get pay? How do we demand salary that's above what you want? The only way you can demand salary is where you have performance. If you have high performance, then you're able to get high pay. But if you think about it, throughout your life when you're working, not every task that you do, you have high levels of performance. There are only a few tasks. And what are they? Usually, from all the years of experience of coaching, it is when it is passionate. When you are passionate about something, then you're able to get high levels of performance. If you're passionate, you get high levels of performance. You get high levels of performance, you are close to world-class standard, top 1%, top 5%, then you can get the pay that you want, that dream salary that you want. So passion is a wildly debated subject. Most people don't believe in passion. For me, in my life, in 32 different businesses and jobs, I realized that passion is the key to get performance. Your highest level of performance will come when you are able to do what you are built to do. And I believe that every single one of you are built for greatness. But what is greatness, and how do we bring down this whole thing called passion? One thing, strengths. All of us have this thing called strengths inside us. And sometimes we're actually not sure what those strengths are. So when it comes to strengths is a huge part of passion. But what is a strength? So strengths is things that you feel energized. And some of you, numbers is where you feel most energized. Some of us here, it is people. Talking to people is where you feel most energized. Some of us here is design work. So depending on what your strengths are, you need to audit it based on how you feel inside you. And you will never know what your strengths are until you actually try it out. And that's why for me, when I tried 32 different businesses and jobs, it's like, I know I am good at talking to people, but I don't really like to talk about insurance all day. Even though I got MDRT, I was earning a lot of money, but But there's something about talking to people that I really enjoy. Then I went to coaching. It's like, oh, I like to talk about strengths. Since young, I like to understand what is the best things about people. I like to understand what's the psychology behind people. Oh, that's a little part of me. And then when I'm basking on the streets of Orchard Road, it's like, what has that got to do with anything? Oh, I love to write lyrics. I love to write different songs. I love to understand how I can bring things together in a way that people can understand. The words that I say that people can resonate with. So all these things, there are some things that energize you. So my take is that throughout your life, if you're not trying out things, you will never know your strength. And that can be a bit daunting. And I'm not asking you to, go through 32 different jobs and businesses. That's not very stable for some of us. But I want to say this, is that your strengths are aligned to how you feel. And when you feel energized, you are utilizing your strength. So think back at your life, think back at your work. In the last 1 year, if you were working and you were doing 10 different tasks, not every task you look forward to. Not every task you're energized doing. Out of the 10 tasks you do, I guarantee only probably 1 or 2 tasks that you feel alive. That you feel like, I want to do more. And when you do that, you understand that, that has something to do with my strength. So when it comes to understanding your career, you want to be able to be at your best. You need to know that, where do I perform where I have an unfair advantage over everybody else? Unfair advantage means when you go up and do that task, other people will be telling you things like, wow, Jason, how do you do that? Then you will say things like, oh, I didn't really practice and all that, but I don't know, natural. So there's something about natural talent, something about instinct, something about feeling alive. That is your strength. So how do you identify it? You got to try different things. And I like to say that careers are almost like food. So if you have never tasted durian before, no matter what I tell you about durian, you will never understand what it means. Same thing for careers. If you don't try out that job, you don't try out that role, you will never understand. Even though people tell you about it, you will never understand it. If careers are like food, and if you think about your favorite food when you were young, 10 years old, it's different from when you're 20 years old, it's different from now. What happened? You tried different things. So my take is that if you want to be able to get the highest level of pay, highest level of performance, you need to figure out, of all the things I really feel energized doing, what is the things that really fire me up? What activities do you look out for? It's like, well, I look forward to that meeting. So some of us here is like, well, for me personally, it's like brainstorming sessions. Oh, I love looking forward to brainstorming session. I love that because why? I love to contribute. I have a lot of ideas. And I realize that some people don't really like brainstorming sessions. And that's the funny thing. And coming back, when I say that nobody knows your strengths better than you, a lot of times when I coach directors, they tell me that I am good at this job, good at this task, but it drains the life out of me. So that's why nobody can tell you what your strengths are. Nobody. Your boss, your family members, your colleagues, they will tell you how you perform, but they don't tell you what your strengths are. So you need to believe yourself rather than you try to believe somebody else. Start to audit yourself. And it's a very simple way that you can start to audit yourself. From a scale of 0 to 10, how do you feel when you're doing that task? So give you an example. 0 means that you feel drained. You feel like, wow, Superman holding on to kryptonite. It's like, painful. 10 means you feel alive. So when you're trying to audit your life and you're trying to figure out, of all the things I do at work or I've done before in my life, what are the things that energize me? Our bosses don't really tell us what our strengths are. I've coached so many leaders, and most of the time, guess what leaders talk about? Do they talk about the strengths of you, or do they talk about your gaps? I haven't seen a leader yet that talks more about strengths than gaps, which means that they pinpoint the very things that you don't feel energized doing most of the time. And also, which means that they ask you to improve in those things. They're telling you and focusing you on all the weaknesses and telling you that you need to buck up on those. And sometimes they will say that, oh, wow, you're bucked up so well, you've improved so well, that is your strength. But it's not your strength. So the funny thing is that then it takes you to start exploring, what do I feel most energized doing? And you can audit yourself easily. I've audited myself throughout the years, and I realized that there's something about coaching. There's something about people, the uniqueness of people that I really enjoy talking. There's something about being on stage that I do enjoy. And if I add all those things up and I layer them properly, you get your calling. If you are passionate about something, those that are 8, 9, 10 for design, those that are 8, 9, 10 for Excel, if you are passionate about something, guess what happens to your performance? Your performance grows exponentially. You're exponentially gaining performance and improving compared to things that drain you. Because we've all had that where we are so drained doing something and we put in so much effort and we still get very incremental results. Very incremental. However, if we are passionate about something and we go through the same course as all our friends, for example, or colleagues, if we are passionate about that, guess what? We grow exponentially. So your performance is actually based something inside here. Your talents, your strengths, things that energize you. So the tips when you're trying to sell yourself is try to play to your strengths. Start telling your boss that, boss, you know what you said that was my strength? Okay, I am good at that. I agree. But there are some things that I want more opportunities to. These are the things, when you ask your boss, these are the things that energize you. So anything that you are energized doing, you need to start to have a conversation with your boss. HR, you need to start to have conversations with people that, yes, this is good, but wait till you see my grade. One best way of thinking about strengths is that we think about animals. Think about this. There are three kinds of birds, right? There's eagles, there's ostrich, and penguins. But if I ask an eagle to run, how does he feel? Strange, like, what's wrong? Right? Ask an ostrich to swim, cannot. Ask a penguin to fly, also cannot. So for them, we can see their strengths because they're animals. We know that they have dominance in three different areas: in the air, the land, and the sea. Eagles must fly, ostriches must run, penguins must swim. The funny thing about human beings is that I will never be able to look at you and understand what your strengths are. I won't be able to. So the only way you can understand your strengths is by trying things out. And you are the one who tell us. If I'm your boss, I'm your HR, or other people, your family members, you are telling me that, hey, this is where I feel alive. This is where I feel energized. I believe that everyone is built for greatness. Every one of us can be a king or queen of your mountain. The funny thing is that you need to figure out what your mountain is. You do need to go through a period of wilderness for you to figure out. And it might not be 32 like me. For you, if you're lucky, maybe it's 5. But you need to try out. And I guarantee you, if you try out, you will find that calling and that strengths that you have that will help you in your career. So thank you very much.